You're watching All 24 News World News Program. Next up are the headlines. France's Justice Minister begins a two-day visit to Algeria as Paris calls for renewed dialogue, faster cooperation, and a new meeting of the Historians Committee. President Tebboune says Algeria is linking universities to a modern economy as the first phase of a 15,000 megawatt power plant goes online, and farmers turn out big for a major expo. Also in our news tonight, Iran offers a new plan to end the war, but Trump threatens more bombing. Iran vows to turn the Sea of Oman into a U.S. Navy graveyard and sets up a new body to run the Strait of Hormuz. And overnight strikes hit Ukraine as Russia says 10 of its oil sites are destroyed. Moscow blames Kiev for blocking peace talks, while Ukraine urges the G7 to keep squeezing Russia's economy. Welcome back. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune received Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin, keeper of the seals, on Monday alongside French Ambassador to Algeria Stéphane Romatier. According to the Algerian presidency, the meeting was also attended by Brahim Red, Minister of State in charge of the General Inspectorate of State Services and Local Authorities, Minister of State and Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf, Justice Minister Lotfi Boujema, and Presidential Advisor for Diplomatic Affairs Ammar Habba. French Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin said his visit to Algeria marked an important step in strengthening judicial cooperation, particularly on the recovery of illicit assets. He also proposed sending an Algerian delegation to further study the issue and present it before French courts.
We spoke about several issues. First, a matter concerning assets acquired through illegal means. The Algerian authorities have submitted around 100 requests to recover assets unfortunately resulting from corruption, so that the Algerian people, the Algerian government, and the Algerian authorities can regain these funds and confiscated properties, as well as those that may later be confiscated through cooperation with the French judiciary. We discussed this matter extensively, and following our meeting this morning with the Minister of Justice, the National Financial Prosecutor worked in complete independence alongside his Algerian counterparts. We also invited officials from the Algerian judicial authorities to come to Paris at the beginning of June to support the examination of these causes, so that we can present them before the French courts regarding seizure and confiscation causes involving, as you know, former officials of the Algerian regime.
French Justice Minister and Keeper of the Seals Gérald Darmanin said Algeria and France are cooperating in judicial intelligence and in combating organized crime in all its forms. Let's take a listen again.
Le deuxième sujet, c'est évidemment la lutte.
The second issue is the fight against organized crime. We share with Algeria the difficulty of combating mafia networks. There is no more accurate term, particularly those involved in drug trafficking, which especially affects our youth, whether through cocaine, cannabis, or psychotropic substances. We also cooperate in the field of judicial intelligence, alongside the work carried out by the interior ministers of both countries. As far as France is concerned, efforts are underway to combat a number of individuals involved in bringing cocaine into France, as well as those committing murders on French territory, or those who must be prevented from doing so. Of course, this partly concerns the activities of drug mafias, but there are also other criminal organizations. Without going into details, we exchanged very valuable information and requested a number of extraditions, just as Algeria also requested extraditions from France.
French Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin began a two-day working visit to Algeria on Monday. He was received by his Algerian counterpart Lotfi Boujema at the Ministry of Justice headquarters, according to a statement from the Algerian Ministry of Justice. French Ambassador to Algeria Stéphane Romatier said France seeks to accelerate the resumption of a dialogue with Algeria based on trust, partnership and respect. In remarks to the Hebdo Show on All 24 News, Romatier said the visit of French Justice Minister to Algeria was expected to advance progress on pending legal cases, while fully respecting the independence of the judiciary in both countries. For his part, the French ambassador to Algeria reiterated France's wish to convene a new meeting of the Joint Committee of Historians as soon as possible, as part of what he described as efforts toward historical reconciliation between the two countries.
There is a desire from both heads of state to speed up the resumption of dialogue based on trust, partnership, and mutual respect between our two countries. Judicial files are of great importance. They are highly sensitive, extremely complex, and numerous. President Macron wanted the Minister of Justice to come to Algeria very quickly, just 1 week after the visit of the Minister delegate in charge of the armed forces. We very much hope to make progress during this visit regarding judicial files, while of course respecting the independence of judiciary in both countries, as this is self-evident.
President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, reaffirmed the state's commitment to supporting higher education and integrating universities into a productive modern economy through the attraction of talent and expertise. In a message marking the 17th anniversary of Student Day, he stressed the role of knowledge in strengthening the modern state and in making universities key partners in technological and scientific transformation.
You are worthy successors to those who came before you as you forge your path towards success within a university system that is actively engaged in transformation, keeping pace with technology and knowledge. The state allocates substantial funding to it every year, and in recent years its infrastructure has been strengthened through numerous achievements, including specialized higher schools, integrated university hubs, and growing support for scientific research, creativity, and innovation.
President Tebboune praised the higher education and research sector for improving education and training quality. He also credited them for linking the university's scientific and knowledge output to the economy and public life.
As part of its commitment to investing in the sector, ensuring its sustainability, and integrating the university into a modern and productive economy, the state is working to attract competence and expertise, provide an encouraging environment for academic elites, and enhance the contribution of knowledge in strengthening the foundations of the modern state. We are fully confident that students and young people are aware of the scale of reforms carried out in the higher education and scientific research sector, as well as the progress achieved by their country in other fields in the fulfillment of the commitment made to the proud Algerian people and to the righteous martyrs.
The 24th International Agricultural, Livestock and Processing Industries Exhibition, SIPS Agriculture, kicked off Monday in Algiers. With broad international participation, running until next Thursday, the event features 850 Algerian and international exhibitors from 39 countries, with Niger, Mauritania and Egypt as guests of honor under the theme Modernizing Agriculture, Strengthening Food Sovereignty and Envisioning the Future. Moving on to another topical news story, CNN reported that the Pentagon had prepared a series of military plans in case U.S. President Donald Trump decided to proceed with resuming the war against Iran. The network said, citing informed sources, that Trump was seriously considering such a move to pressure Tehran into concessions, adding that he was due to hold a meeting with his national security team on the issue this week. Iran vowed to turn the Sea of Oman into a graveyard for U.S. Navy ships. Council member Mohsen Rizai said in an interview on Iranian television on Sunday that Tehran considered a naval blockade an act of war, adding that Iranian armed forces would break it unless Washington lifted it. He also warned the UAE against supporting Zionist ideology, saying Tehran's strategic patience with Abu Dhabi had run out. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baqai said Monday that Tehran had submitted a new response via Pakistani mediation to the U.S. reservations over a proposed end-of-war agreement. He reiterated Iran's commitment to its nuclear rights during the weekly press conference, stressing that uranium enrichment was not open to discussion or compromise in the ongoing indirect talks with Washington, mediated by Islamabad.
Despite the fact that the American side publicly announced that Iran's plan was rejected, we received through the Pakistani mediator a set of point and corrected considerations from their side. Regarding the issue of the release of Iran's asset, you may say that this is Iran's condition. Let me say that this is our demand, and it is a rightful demand.
Iran's Supreme National Security Council announced Monday the formation of a new body to manage the Strait of Hormuz. In a post on its official X account, it named the Strait of Hormuz Authority, saying it would provide real-time updates on operations and developments linked to the management of the strategic waterway. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baqai said Tehran was in contact with Oman to establish a regulatory mechanism, stressing that Iran would not give up its interests under economic pressure and threats.
Essentially, the reason Iran and Oman came to the idea of defining mechanisms to ensure the safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz was an incident that occurred on February 28. Therefore, this issue has both a legal and logical basis.
5 weeks after a fragile ceasefire took hold, tensions between Washington and Tehran remain elevated. Donald Trump issued new threats against Iran on Monday. The latest warnings come amid sustained military and economic pressure, which Tehran continues to meet with firm resistance. Karim Asfar reports now.
Faced with a renewed threat from U.S. President Donald Trump threatening consequences for Iran if its leaders do not act quickly, many Iranian citizens are calling on Tehran to resist American pressure and maintain its position in ongoing tensions with Washington. They are making their voice heard loud and clear.
I believe that what Trump is saying, whether in the form of negotiations or threats, is only aimed at weakening our diplomatic apparatus and our military forces. We must stand firmly against it. We have paid a heavy price. The blood of our martyrs has been shed here. We have, in fact, given many sacrifices. We should not back down from our positions.
On the ground, Washington is maintaining its naval blockade of Iranian ports, while Tehran maintains the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most important shipping route for oil and gas. Meanwhile, the situation remains deadlocked in the diplomatic front. 5 weeks after the ceasefire, talks on ending the war are suspended, with each side rejecting the other's latest proposals.
You speak with someone who genuinely wants to engage with you and understand what you are saying, not with someone who has no intention of talking at all. In the middle of negotiations, we were attacked twice. Negotiations were held, an agreement was drafted, and then they withdrew from it.
As tensions between Tehran and Washington continue to escalate, hopes for diplomatic breakthrough appear increasingly uncertain. Meanwhile, Iranians brace themselves for what may happen next.
Still with the Middle East developments, the Zionist occupation launched dozens of airstrikes and heavy artillery shelling on southern Lebanon on Monday. According to the Lebanese National News Agency, continued violations of the ceasefire agreement, targeting towns and villages with airstrikes focused on the districts of Binjbil, Nabateeh and Tyre. The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza said 6 people were killed and 40 others injured by Zionist occupation forces in the past 24 hours alone. In a statement Monday, it said the toll from ongoing ceasefire violations had risen to 877 martyrs and more than 2,600 wounded, bringing the total since the start of the war to 72,769 killed and 172,704 injured. Among the rebel people in Gaza hold on to life. They still celebrate weddings with care and artistry. Wedding dresses are handmade and displayed not in shop windows, but hanging from gutted buildings. Sofian Kintura has the story this time.
A white wedding dress hanging amid the rubble. Against the grey backdrop of destruction in Gaza, it has become a symbol of resilience and determination to keep living despite the devastation. With soaring prices and severe shortages caused by the blockade and the aggression, many price-to-be are now turning to restored and reshaped dresses, carefully repaired in small workshops, such as this tailoring shop in Khan Yunis.
البدل القديمة اللي عنا نحاول إنه إحنا نعاود إعادة تدوير إلها.
We try to recycle the old dresses we still have. We repair them, wash them, reshape them, and make them wearable again. At first, we even worked using a bicycle-powered sewing machine because there was no electricity. Before the war, this fabric cost around 120 to 150 shekels. Today, it costs nearly 500.
For many families, even the simplest wedding has become financially out of reach. Shahid Faiz is set to marry in just a few days, but after searching across Gaza, she still cannot afford a suitable dress.
My wedding is in 4 days. We have spent nearly 2 weeks searching from one place to another and still cannot find a proper dress. I don't care about the style anymore. I just want something new. But everything is worn out, and the cheapest dress costs around $1,000, while we have less than 200.
Families say the cost of organizing weddings has become overwhelming amid the economic collapse.
This is the first wedding in our family. The hall alone is extremely expensive. Then there are the dress and all the other costs. Everything has become unaffordable.
Despite the hardships, some couples are still finding ways to celebrate. Collective weddings organized across this strip are offering rare moments of joy and hope. Some couples are still finding ways to celebrate. Collective weddings organized across the strip are offering rare moments of joy and hope in a territory devastated by aggression.
Ukrainian officials said Monday that Russia launched overnight missile and drone strikes on several cities, killing one person and injuring more than 30 others. The Russian Defense Ministry said its air defenses shot down Ukrainian drones over southern regions, including Rostov Oblast and Belgorod Oblast. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin said Monday that Kiev is showing no readiness for serious dialogue to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. He told journalists that Kiev was obstructing the establishment of potential parameters for a political and diplomatic settlement. Meanwhile, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov accused Ukraine of carrying out continuous attacks on civilian targets inside Russia.
As for contact, we are continuing our dialogue through existing channels with the Americans. These contacts are ongoing, and since they serve as intermediaries, they facilitate the exchange of information with the Ukrainian side. The special military operation continues. It can stop at any moment as soon as the Kiev regime and Zelensky take responsibility and make the necessary decisions.
Ukrainian Finance Minister Serhiy Marchenko called on the G7 to maintain pressure on Russia through additional sanctions as part of efforts he described as aimed at the destruction of the Russian economy. Speaking ahead of the G7 finance ministers meeting in Paris, he said procedures to secure a €90 billion European loan were expected to be finalized by early June.
There are no way to appease aggressor in such a way to lift sanctions, so we need to continue to pressure Russia to put additional sanctions on Russia. And from our side, we do our best to destroy our Russia economy, specifically oil refinery and other infrastructure which help to boost military machine.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry said Monday that Sino-Russian relations contribute significantly to global strategic stability and international justice. Spokesman commenting on the upcoming visit of the Russian President Vladimir Putin to China said bilateral cooperation brings tangible benefits to both countries and their peoples and strengthens global strategic stability and international justice. Canada has confirmed its first case of hantavirus, saying the infected person was on board the MV Honda's cruise ship, where the virus was first detected. The Public Health Agency of Canada said in a statement Sunday that no additional cases have been identified, adding that the overall risk to the public remains low. That's the end of our news program. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.